In the summer months, I'd be spraying chemicals alone until late in the evening, and every single time I was there alone, I would catch a glimpse of him.
Sorry, I do apologise. I just got a horrendous shiver then. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Any new viewer or listener has just fucked this off completely. I would if I just tuned into a brand new podcast and the host went I'd be like, absolutely not. Grow
Right,
up.
make him
So I
feel bad.
apologise.
He's got a stutter.
Oh, that's it. Flip
That's
it
it.
on him. I haven't. I haven't. If you're new here, please don't leave. If you're a regular, please don't leave. Right, so we're on the pod. As you can see, as you can hear. Hello. What we got today? So Scott blew my mind. I honestly, and when I say blew my mind, I thought he was taking the piss initially. So we've got a group chat where we organise our investigations and we organise the pods and stuff. And Scott, I'm actually, what did you exactly say? Let me see. Let me just find it
Yeah,
right. So you
it was a.
went,
Your response was great.
yeah, you went podcast idea, seeing ghosts of alive people, and I just went, that isn't how it works, Scott. But lo and behold, I was wrong. That is exactly how it works sometimes. So, Scott, explain to the people, how on earth do you see ghosts of people that are alive?
So, yeah, it's a bit weird. Um, Basically, I was browsing Facebook, and I'm part of a load of
Nice,
paranormal groups on Facebook because I
nice,
like to use them for inspiration for the podcast.
excellent.
Um, and one of them is like an open forum where people post their stories of ghost stuff that's happened to them.
Right.
And I haven't actually been able to re-find the one I saw that sparked this question,
Oof.
but I have found others. But yeah, so this person was talking about how the general story was they woke up in the middle of the night and saw, I think it was their grandmother standing at the foot of their bed. Um, and she's very much alive, but they're in America and she lives about 8 states away, which is quite a big drive. Um,
Yeah.
and they started talking to her. They rolled over and got out of bed, looked back, and she was gone.
Right. So they both
And
saw her.
so, yeah, there were two people here, and they saw the grandmother there. And then, essentially, the end of that story was 2 days later, the grandmother died.
Right.
And
So
that sort of led me to do the whole. So, if she was alive, how can you see a ghost of a alive person? And after a bit of Googling, I found a few Reddit threads that ask the same question.
okay. Very interesting. So basically, if you see the ghost of a person who's alive, they might not be alive for much longer.
Yeah, that seems to be one of the theories.
Oh, right,
Rob,
that
you
is
look
that
incredibly
what I
perplexed.
was literally about to ask, is that the whole premise of this? Like, you see the person, but you know they're
So,
still alive, but then shortly after they die.
so some people say that it's a sign of positive things, and this person isn't gonna, this person's gonna live a long life.
Hang on a minute.
Um,
You can't have both, mate. There's no having your cake and eating it with this. You
yeah.
can't have, right, if I see a ghost version of someone who's alive, they're going to live forever. And then also, they're going to die in less than 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So
nuts.
what I thought we'd do is I would just read out a couple of these
Yeah.
different experiences people have had where they've seen the ghost of someone alive. Obviously,
Okay.
we can discuss, get thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Um, and again, annoyingly, there was another one I found that I've not been able to re-find
Right.
because I was very briefly browsing on my phone earlier on the bus and I didn't save the link. um,
Oh, I
but it was of
see.
a person who saw themselves as a ghost.
Oh, wow.
Jesus! Oh,
They turned a corner and
okay.
they were stood in the room looking at themselves, but wearing different
And it,
clothes.
Mirror.
okay. I was thinking, no, see, different clothes
Yeah.
lots. You jumped the gun
That's
there. I'm glad you did because you jumped it just before I did.
that's it.
Um, Scott, I do just want to take a slight tangent. Obviously, for the audio listeners, I apologise. Your webcam is just going like zooming in and out. Is there any particular reason for that? Is that a setting?
Not one that I've turned on purpose.
A
No, just
dynamic.
I think it's possibly because I am looking at the other screen, because that's the screen I currently have you guys on, and
Right.
the stories I'm
Hello.
going to read are on this one. I
Okay.
think when I'm looking at that screen, it should refocus.
Right. Okay.
So,
Nice. Hello.
so this is the first one on the first Reddit forum. This is from r/paranormal, a
Okay.
classic.
Shout out.
actually.
And this is titled, "Has anyone seen the ghost of someone who hasn't yet died? Is this possible? Let me explain." Now, this one has a trigger warning. It doesn't say what for, but I assume we'll find out.
Okay.
So, I have worked at my job for over 6 years now. I work in a large production nursery, 12 acres of glass houses and crops. For the first year or so, I would always see our maintenance man out of the corner of my eye when he was very clearly physically located elsewhere on the property and not even at work at times. In the summer months, I'd be spraying chemicals alone until late in the evening, and every single time I was there alone, I would catch a glimpse of him in the distance out of the corner of my eye. He always
Sorry.
wore a white t-shirt and blue shorts.
Sorry,
Uh,
I do apologise. I just got a horrendous shiver. Then that really, I let my mind go a little bit. Yeah, we sorry. We recorded a spooky episode before this one. We're doing it just two back to back. I'm home alone. I'm slightly unsettled. We had a Frogger conversation, and I just you started talking about seeing him out of the corner of your eye and stuff, and knowing he's elsewhere, and I just my mind went to a really bad place, and then I just had a physical fucking reaction. I've just derailed that. Scott, you were doing fantastic. I apologise. Apologise to everyone at home. Please continue. I'm a
uh,
nervous wreck.
so he always wore a white t-shirt and blue shorts. He's 6'4" with shocking white hair. I don't know what the shocking white hair is, but
Schofield.
so it's impossible.
Sorry. No, listen. Listen.
Hell.
Jesus.
Oh,
He's no longer a national treasure. Fuck it.
True.
that's it.
True. So it's impossible to mistake him for someone else. His ghost would always just be walking down one of the footpaths or crop beds. I even asked some of the older staff if there was a death on the site in the past. Perhaps I was seeing someone who'd worked there in previous years, like the maintenance man who was, or the maintenance man was the owner's brother, so obviously the family owned the place. Could have been a family member's
Yeah.
ghost. Fast
Okay.
forward 2 years later, I ended up saving his life. He suffered a major heart attack one Friday afternoon when the majority of staff had gone home for the day. Me and my production manager performed CPR on him for over 40 minutes until paramedics arrived. They told us we'd saved his life. Was I seeing his future ghost? Was the ghost a premonition, a warning from the other side, or from my future subconscious? I've never told anyone this, but it's something I think about too often. Something or someone was trying to tell me that he would die there. Now I've
Did
just
he
got a
die?
chill down my spine.
He didn't die.
No.
He was saved.
He was saved by the person who posted this, who was keeping an eye out for him because they'd seen the premonition, because they'd seen his ghost there. I
Now,
think.
So
I
he
don't
was.
want to. I don't
Go
like
on, sorry.
too much into the because they said they sprayed chemicals.
I did think that when I read it, yeah.
I was like,
Ah,
is there some hallucinations going on here? But I don't know.
quite
Let's-
possibly.
I mean,
I'm still very confused. How? So he knew that this person he was seeing in the corner of his eye was elsewhere.
yeah. I think it's kind of the point of he'd sort of, properly try and look at this person, they'd be gone.
Right.
It's kind of if you were at your job and you saw someone you work with out the corner of your eye, and then 10 minutes later you found out they weren't in that day for whatever reason.
Yeah, that would fuck me up a bit.
But you distinctly remember seeing them, that morning.
Seeing them there, yeah. Okay. And so, what does he think that if he hadn't seen this person and had this in the forefront, then they wouldn't have been there to do CPR? So therefore, they would have died, or
Possibly. I think that's kind of where it's going. I mean, so like I said, they ended this with: was the ghost a premonition, or was the ghost premonition a warning from the other side, or from their future subconscious?
I mean, who knows with this sort of stuff that, time and space could be completely out the window, you know? Fifth
So,
dimensional shit.
yeah. So one of the
Interstellar.
first theory is that this person saw a fetch.
What's that?
Okay, I'm
Now,
intrigued.
a fetch, I believe, in mythology, is a European thing. Let me get the actual page up.
A fetch is a European.
A fetch in folklore
Jeez, you're being
is.
You just stared into the sun.
I've turned on Wikipedia, which is. Hang on, let me turn
The
on
gates of
this.
heaven have opened. Don't go to the light, Scott. Oh, a fetch.
I do have my monitor brightness up,
You
so when
just
I open
turn
a
the
page,
monitor off and you're sunburnt. Like the UVs.
a fetch is a supernatural double or an apparition of a living person.
Okay.
The sighting of a fetch is regarded as an omen, usually for impending doom or death.
Nice.
Okay.
Generally, it comes from
So this is a thing.
European sort of,
Myth.
European kind of myth and folklore.
Just a myth, right?
Said to be
Okay.
similar to the doppelganger of Germanic origin,
The doppelganger. Right,
which
yeah.
that kind of thing. Which, yeah, it's like you say, it's kind of an omen of death, which isn't a good thing.
Right.
No,
Yeah, that sucks.
this guy survived, so the omen of death thing, I would assume, is just fucked off.
Yeah, it's a tricky one,
Quite
isn't
possibly.
Also,
So,
I don't know anything about CPR. I mean, I know the basics of like compressions and shit, but is 40 minutes quite a long time for CPR to be performed for?
That is a long time. I've witnessed CPR before for a very long time. Like it is sort of like I don't know. Let me just quickly let me Google it. So the average CPR time is 21 to 25 minutes.
okay.
Jeez.
I guess, like you say, you start doing it until an ambulance
Yeah.
gets there.
Yeah.
If you're, I assume that was in America. If you're in America, you could be quite
People have
some
been
distance
resuscitated
from.
4 or 5 hours after death.
Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I
I
won't
mean,
say like I weren't coming from it as like a skeptical. I was just
No,
interested.
it's just yeah.
It's-
It does sound like a lot, doesn't it?
I've seen Madam Web, and they say in that, keep going until the ambulance turns up.
I don't think we should be using Madam Web as any.
Madam Web is fucking garbage.
There
But
we
we're going to go on a tangent now because I have seen Immaculate, also starring Sydney Sweeney. It's where she is a nun
Yes.
and she has an immaculate conception
Up the duff.
of baby Jesus.
But
And yeah, it was quite good. It was quite good. The ending, I don't. I'm just going to speak about. I'm not going to spoil the ending at all, But if you don't want to hear anything, even my remote opinion or anything like that, mute this for 10 seconds. Okay. I haven't looked into the film or how it's been received, but the ending of that film is one of the most controversial things I've ever seen in my life. So it's blown my mind that I haven't seen anything about it. But anyway, we're back in the room. You're safe.
Yes.
You're safe. But yeah, it's just because you said Madam Web and Sydney
That was
Sweeney
the highlight of that movie for me, was the CPR, because I think that actually was quite a good demonstration of how to do it and how to.
teaching the masses.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there you go.
Anyway, back to the ghosts.
Yes,
film no one watched.
I watched
Yeah.
it for banter, and honestly, the joke was on me.
It did kind of feel like that, yeah.
Yeah, Madam Web is beyond dog shit. But anyway, listen, we're not here to talk about superhero movies.
Speaking of dog shit,
Worse than Ant-Man.
this is a tangent, it kind of works. The next thing I've got here is this person who has replied. Oh my god, I had no idea this was a phenomenon. I had to give away both of my dogs. There's the tangent. Just over a year ago.
Right. What a connection. Dog shit to dogs.
Well, dogs produce dog shit.
That's true. That is true.
I had to give away both my dogs just over a year ago because I became extremely ill, and one of my symptoms was due to my dog's fur. I've been heartbroken about it because they were literally my 24/7 companions for over 4 years. One nearly died from birth, and the other from the time of his rescue at 1 year old. They were very bonded to me, and the rescue was especially clingy because he came from an abusive background and spent time as a stray. I still see them out the corner of my eye, I hear their sounds, and I feel them next to me. However, they are both still alive, and both with happy, new, loving families, and I still get to follow their progress through pictures and friend-relative accounts. But I feel like a part of them are still near me. I thought I was just being overly imaginative from a guilt or grief, but the experiences are so real I've never been able to completely dismiss them. And then they talk about how this thread and still seeing the ghost of something that is still alive or someone that's still alive, leads into this, that they keep seeing these two dogs in their
Yeah.
house, which I thought was quite interesting. What are
It
you
is.
thinking?
I think it's potentially a bit of like the analogy that springs to mind is like phantom pain.
Yeah.
It's clearly extremely attached to these dogs, loved these dogs very much, gave them away, didn't want to. And so you're just like attached to that emotion, and that's potentially leading to these kind of experiences when it comes specifically to these dogs, I feel.
Yeah.
Or I just don't get, this concept is so hard to get your head around.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck does that mean for the dogs?
Okay.
Was that
Before
impending doom?
before we go further with this, then I want to bring up something that I was going to leave a little bit later, which is one of the rationales people have tried to put to this.
Cool.
And the rationale they've put to this is the stone tape theory. Because the
Right.
stone tape theory is a recording, essentially. You don't have to be dead to be on a recording.
True. That's very
That
true. I've never thought about that with the stone tape theory. Because it's
you're
like,
essentially just seeing a moment in time back, like the
yeah.
guy wandering around through the fields in the first bit, which he
My
probably would.
God. Could you imagine, like, I don't know what you would think. Imagine, like, in your house, say stone tape theory is legitimate and it does just take a recording and it just replays every now and then. Imagine, like, you're just doing your day to day and then you just watch, like, I don't know, like a fucking argument or something that you had with someone in your house and it's just playing out in front of you. What would you think? See, my mind wouldn't go to time to stone tape. My mind would go to, like, I'll fucking time slipped back to when I was doing some shit.
That's one of the other theories I've seen online for this.
Oh, that's
Time
it.
flip.
That's it.
Time slip and stone tape are the two main ones. Which
Yeah.
again, you don't have to be dead for either of those.
No, but I've never even thought about that you don't have to be dead for stone tape theory. I guess in my head, stone tape theory was kind of like, I don't know, because that's bullshit. Because you have, like, you know, I don't know, the maid of a hotel will walk the corridors because that's what she did when she was alive. That stone tape theory. Like,
It's kind of a past event, not something
yeah, but
recent.
what would
Yeah,
activate that? Like, what would cause that? Unless they're, you know what I mean? Like, do they have to die for that to start? But then it makes no sense. But then if so, I just feel like if stone tape theory, that's actually thrown stone tape theory out of the window for me. I think a little bit, because it's like, well, if that is a thing, and it can just happen to any raw emotion,
yeah.
then I feel like people would see shit all the time.
I mean, that kind of, in my head, the counter for that is when you see something out of the corner of your eye when you're in your living room, could you just be seeing yourself from, walking through your house angrily from a couple of years ago, for example? I think there's a lot to
Maybe.
think about with that. It's quite
Yeah,
a
this is
the entire concept
intense.
of ghosts of alive people kind of fucked me reading it early because I was like, okay, there's a lot to process.
Yeah. The fuck?
What are your thoughts, Loss?
Hold up. Wait a minute. Something ain't right.
Yeah,
Comes to
Lozzie's
mind.
mind's fried.
That's it.
So the next reply, or another reply here, is in answer to the question, have you seen the ghost of someone who's still alive? This person says, yes, I have. Years ago, I used to see this little girl that looked just like my childhood friend that I had growing up, wearing the same dress that she used to play in. It was a very specific dress from the 90s. I always thought it was my friend, but I was like, she's still alive. I ended up going to a legit psychic. I mean, there's a question to be raised
Hey,
here.
Legit. Legit.
you never
Yeah,
know.
this is the thing.
Give them the benefit of the dirt.
Grain of salt. Apparently, the psychic was very accurate and detailed. I asked him if I had any spirits around me, and he said yes, I have a lot. Mainly a little girl spirit that used to be around in my childhood. But the little girl was still alive. However, a couple of years later, she ended up getting murdered.
Wait, what? Wait.
The
How,
way he
hang on,
said
hang on,
that
hang on, hang on.
was
How can a
fantastic.
little girl spirit from when he was a child,
Yeah.
and then you're like, but the little girl is still alive? Does
The
that
little
mean
girl's still
she's now
alive,
an
the
adult?
same age as this person.
Right. And then
And
she got murdered.
after, when they were an adult, after this person went and saw the psychic, the little girl, who is now a not little girl, got murdered.
I mean, could that not just be a coincidence?
I think
though?
there's a lot of coincidence to be.
There's a lot of questions. I would like to enter a question.
Oh,
Go ahead.
Is the psychic now partly responsible for the death?
oh,
Ooh.
for acknowledging it.
That's it. Actions have consequences, the butterfly effect.
There you go.
I mean, yeah.
That's it.
So,
Could be.
okay, here's another one for you. Another
Okay.
reply of a person that's seen something. Yes, my mum and I were bent down putting clothes in my dresser drawers, and we both turned around to see my dad standing super still in my bedroom doorway in nothing but a white undershirt and boxers, which was what he slept in. Mind you, it was 4 p.m. and not typical to be dressed then for sleep. He looked pale, almost translucent.
Yeah.
We both turned and commented that he didn't look well. He didn't respond, and my mum said, "Really, Eddie, are you okay?" Nothing again. We looked back, and he wasn't there. And in the same few seconds, we hear my dad yell up from outside to tell me my friends were waiting out back for me. He was fully dressed, so there was no way he could have been in the doorway and also outside fully dressed in such a short period of time. My mum was so upset and freaking
That's
out about
weird.
it, and he assured us he was fine and even joked lightly about it. My friends all witnessed this. We left, and not an hour later, my brother called to tell me to get home immediately because our dad had just passed away from a heart attack.
My God.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
That's the Omen one.
I mean, yeah. When
yeah,
you hear stuff like that, I can see why people would certainly start to think it's a fucking bad omen.
yeah.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it's a bit. That was one of the more extreme, I think, ones.
Yeah.
But
That's fucking nuts. Okay.
so another theory people put forward for this is astral projection,
Right.
Okay. Right.
which
Yeah.
is kind of the out of body experience sort
Yeah.
of. You know,
Do you not have to be asleep for that?
you can be asleep or yeah, it doesn't work for all cases.
Right.
But I think it could explain some. Like for
Okay.
example, there's a few which I think there might be one in a minute where there's like a grandmother who's in hospital unwell, who's asleep, and they turn up at their grandchild's foot of their bed for a bit.
Right. I think I've heard
Um,
that one.
yeah, there's a few like that
Yeah.
where they see various relatives or family friends who are unwell like that. And I think, if someone, I think there's one I've read somewhere where someone's in a coma,
Yeah.
but they get seen walking around in their house through the window by a neighbor.
Oh,
who
fuck
then
that.
goes over to check because the person's meant to be in hospital in a coma. So they go to why you're home, welcome back, etc. And they're actually still in the coma.
That's horrific.
Which again could be stone tape, could be astral projection.
Could be a
There's a
frog.
lot. Could be a frogger wearing his clothes.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Go on, let's hear some stories then.
So what else have we got here? So I've seen the ghost of someone who is still alive, but it happened in a house where many other haunting type events occurred regularly, and I believe it was an entity mimicking my friend.
See, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Because like we've said, like our demons and shit can mimic people's voices and all the rest of it. So I was thinking, like, is that more along these lines?
Yeah, that thought had crossed my mind as well. It's it gives me demonic vibes, yeah.
Yeah, big time.
So another one here we've got is my mother saw me regularly from my being about 12 to her death when I was 56. She had no other sorts of paranormal tendencies at all. She mostly saw me walking past our house. I turned my head or looked behind me or tucked my hair behind my ear, and I would be perfectly solid, not at all transparent. She once called me to ask if I'd been shopping that day. I hadn't. She told me she'd seen me walk right down the street. She called to me 3 or 4 times. I rounded the corner which leads to a car park. She followed, expecting to find me and or my car. I asked what I was wearing, and yes, it was the same clothes that I was actually wearing at that moment. They both found it a bit unnerving and quite spooky and could never account for it. So again, that one I think could just be another person.
Yeah, I do think some of these are just people who look
Yeah.
vaguely similar to who they think it is.
Which is entirely plausible.
Yeah.
It is important to still maintain some form of what would you call it?
Skepticism.
Yeah. Touch of reality.
Yeah. So I'm now going to move over to Quora, the
Nice.
question website,
Do
because
like a
it's
bit of Quora.
something different from Reddit. The question is essentially the same. The question is, what does it mean if you hear or see a ghost of someone who's still alive?
Nice.
And a couple of the answers we've got include, it's happened to me a few times. For example, the ghost of my ex-girlfriend's daughter, the daughter being about 5 years old at the time, and her ghost came to me in full colour standing at the side of my leg. Which is a bit, that would be a weird thing to see.
Right. Okay.
Especially if it's someone you know. That one then goes on with, I've seen the ghost of my father also in full colour outside the bathroom in his apartment while he was sleeping. I've also seen maybe a total of about 120 other ghosts.
120?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a steep number.
That's a catalogue.
Dead people.
Uh, I've seen, I don't know what it means, as in the case of my ex-girlfriend's daughter, I only met her maybe 3 times, and as such, plus her age, I feel that there was no message in the seeing of her ghost. Equally, seeing the ghost of my father when he was just maybe 17 feet away from it at the time carried no obvious nor discernible message. I mean, to me, that's the one with the father who is asleep at the time very much sounds like a sort of astral projection
Also, the thing that I
or
pick
an
up,
out-of-body experience.
the thing that I pick up from this is, did they say how old they are anywhere?
No, no.
Because they
Actually,
keep
no.
saying they see them in colour. Like,
Yeah, that person,
Yeah.
says that a couple of times. I don't quite know what that means.
It's all just a bit strange.
as opposed to seeing them
Yeah.
just in black and white. That's what I
Yeah.
assumed.
Yeah. So we've got another one here, which is, have you seen the ghost of a living person? Yes, my father, a few days before he died, he woke me up and didn't speak, but I knew he was telling me to take the trash out. I followed him into the kitchen. He went around the counter. I took the trash out and then came back in the house, made some coffee. After a cup of coffee, I realised the version of my father who woke me up was young, healthy, with a full head of hair. I went into my father's room and he was laying in the same place he was the night before, skinny, hair loss, cancer in his body. He passed a few days later. I'm assuming his soul was between life and death.
Yeah.
Imagine like that you see a younger version of your dad, and the thing that he gets you to do is take out the
Just
fucking
put the
rubber.
bins.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
I mean,
You know?
that would be like if you were just in your house and you saw a younger version of someone you knew well. That would be like really freaky.
Yeah, that would
Yeah,
be.
absolutely.
Like, I don't know how you'd react to that, really. Yeah, I think that would really throw me off completely.
Imagine if you saw a younger version of yourself. Oh shit, what's going on?
You'd have to assume that was a time slip then.
Yeah,
Or you're like, oh fuck, am I the ghost?
that's it.
Shit,
Have I been
So
M. Night Shyamalan? Brilliant.
that's it.
that's a real
I
plot twist.
am Bruce Willis.
Oof.
Listen, came out in what 2006?
I didn't say what film it was or what actor it was pertaining to, but you went there. That's all right. But it has been a long time. It's been out for a long time.
Exactly.
That is true.
I'll fucking spoil Immaculate. That came out this fucking year. I'll
Oof.
do it. No, I'm joking.
So another one we've got is when I was 16, my friends all saw me near the bandstand in the park where we used to sit and hang out. I was at home on my bed. It was intentional on my part. They were all meeting up for a gig I didn't fancy. I knew where and what time they were meeting, so I decided to see if I could project myself there.
No fucking
Fuck off.
way.
I was shocked that the next day they told me they'd seen me there. Apparently, I just appeared and then faded away.
What the fuck?
So, this person, I'm guessing, essentially sat in their bedroom in a semi meditative state.
Oh, you got to do a meditative state, haven't you?
I
I was
think
going to say
you need to,
Maya's
yeah.
out. Maya's out with her friends right now.
If
So I
you
try and
she is.
project myself,
for full
and then
ban,
see if she texts me going,
Why are
"What are
you
you
in
doing
this
here?"
club?
I'm like,
Why are you in this restaurant?
he's doing it.
I'm doing it.
He's doing a Charles Xavier.
Or he's having a massive shit.
And while you do that, I'm proofreading the next story.
I don't know if the squeaking noise is necessary.
That was hard.
So
I strained.
we'll now follow up and see if Maya spotted you anywhere.
Yeah, imagine if she just texts me now, like, "Oh, I thought I just saw you out." Like, what?
That would be mental.
I'm fucking meant that'd be crazy. Go on,
I think
one more, Scott. Let's hit it.
Okay, so
One more. We got, and then I got
God.
one of the hardest Patreon questions of the pod ever.
Okay. So this has bugged me for about 35 years now. When I was 7, I woke up in the night, turned over, and my nana was stood by the door by the side of my bed. She just smiled, turned, and walked out the door. I can still remember exactly what she was wearing. I shouted out to my dad, asking if Nana was here. She wasn't. Go to sleep, was the reply. 2 weeks later, she died of
Go to
cancer.
sleep. Oh, what? I just spoke over the heart.
And everyone's always laughed when I
Please
said I saw her.
repeat that for the people that didn't hear me fucking interrupting. Go on.
2 weeks later, she died of cancer. She was ill at the time I saw her ghost, and everyone's
I
always just
apologise.
laughed when I said I'd seen her. What did I see was essentially how that person followed it up.
I apologise.
A lot of, I mean, it really does seem to be.
Of all
You
the
either
times I could
get.
have fucking interjected in this pod. There you go.
That's not the one I'd have picked.
That's it. I don't get it. Pick out.
He purposely picked
I
it.
just thought it was funny because he went like, "Dad,
Yeah,
is Dad here? No, go to fucking sleep."
that is
Like,
very
why would
much the
that be your
reply.
thing? Like, also, why would you, unless you lived with your nan, why would she just randomly be at you? I mean, I guess that's why he's asking, to be
Well,
fair.
yeah.
But
Intrigue.
yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah, so
Like,
that
but yeah,
is.
really weird, really strange.
It's a really weird
You know,
phenomenon.
you hear these stories like nurses, and doctors, they say like, oh, just before a patient is about to die, they sort of start talking about how, like, oh, my husband came and saw me last night, and the husband died years before, and it's potentially like someone coming over to our side to come and collect them and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So, if
You
if if
also
if it's possible for them to come over and collect us, why wouldn't it be possible for them
Yeah.
to come and see us one last
It's
time?
kind of a sort of dream walking kind of thing.
Yeah.
You sometimes hear I've heard a few stories of nurses who have seen a patient walking through a ward at night. Um, someone working the night shift, they've seen a patient walking through the corridors, they've gone after them, and when they've caught up with them, they've not been there, and then it turns out that patient's asleep in bed. There's a
Mad.
few I've heard those in the past.
There's that. I think it's like Insidious 3. No, or is it Insidious 1? Or it might even be Conjuring. I don't know. They're all the same. But where the nurse is in the lift with the old guy in like the fucking overalls and
Yes.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she goes to the reception and she's like, why the fuck was Jerry out of his bed? And then she's like, he
Uh,
died last night.
Yeah.
I would just
I think that was number 3.
I would just cease existing. I think if I was like, are you trying to tell me that I was just in a confined lift with a ghost? I'm off. No notice. Fucking sue me. I'm gone. That'd be
so
it. Which
Yeah.
is hilarious because we literally do videos trying to find them, and I'm saying if that happens to me, I'll be off. But
There's something different about it happening in a place you are sort of comfortable. A place
yeah,
you don't expect it.
I'd love to have like a nurse or a doctor or someone come on the pod and just talk about, because they must, like, how many people fucking die in a hospital every single
Mhm.
day? If ghosts and stuff are real, every hotel, every hospital must be haunted.
Yeah.
Has to be.
yeah.
And
It's
they've all
yeah.
got like those horrible tunnels underneath, haven't they, literally for transporting dead bodies.
Because they
You
don't
know,
wanna freak people out moving them through the main
yeah.
entrances, yeah.
Oh man, imagine having to take those tunnels on the daily.
I mean, hospitals are creepy enough at the best of times. Imagine having to walk through one of those at night
Yeah,
on your own.
and they've got them like power saving fucking motion lights and shit, and
Yeah.
so like some wards are just dark. Oh man, it's
Yeah.
grim.
They're creepy walking the corridors of a hospital during the day when there's people around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, great.
Yeah.
no, yeah, but okay. Well, thank you for that, Scott. So that is, if you see a ghost of someone who's not dead, oh dear, you're in trouble. Well, they're in trouble.
Mm.
Okay, well, that's brilliant. Well, if you have any stories like that, please let us know. Comment down below or email us in dudeystories@gmail.com or dudeystories@gmail.com. Become a patron for as little as £1 a month. And you can ask us a Patreon question of the pod, which is what we're going to have right now. There's also lots of bonus stuff behind the scenes, all that good stuff, and a group chat as well. This is pretty heavy.
Okay.
And to be fair, it does say in brackets, joking, unless you want to answer. And I think we should answer it.
Okay.
Christy asks, what is the meaning of life?
Well, that's a question.
Yeah.
I'd say like the finest philosophers of any period in history don't really know the answer to this question, and we on a podcast talking about ghosts, ghouls, and all sorts of stuff. And our
I'm going to
task
answer it
tonight,
right now.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think I know. How fucking arrogant is that?
I think I
Uh,
know.
Aristotle, who's he?
yeah. No. I don't know. What's the meaning of life? I think it's subjective. I think it's you know I think it's whatever meaning you derive from
Mhm.
things. I'm at a stage in my life where, you know, I've done some cool shit. You know, I've got the silver plaque thing that I tried to get, you know, for 10 years and all that sort of stuff. And you know, I've had big goals, I've achieved them. Um I've enjoyed the journeys, I've found the emptiness at the end of the road, and I genuinely believe life is all about people, you know, because the best things that have come out of, say, for example, the YouTube thing are the people I've met along the way, you know, people like yourself, Scott. Like, if without doing that, we wouldn't be sat here
Yeah.
right now. You know, I also think that without YouTube, don't get me wrong, Loz. Obviously, we were incredibly close before, but how much you helped me and joined me on that journey. You know, I don't think we would be as close. You know, without that sort of thing. So, and also it's just I've come to realize how important time with your loved ones is over everything else, because nothing else, when you boil it down to you know, the bare bones of things, you know, you can have all the money in the world and all the rest of it, but I think if you don't have friends and family and stuff, who really gives a fuck? Because it's all meaningless without, you know, without that. So yeah, without getting too deep at the end of this podcast, although I do kind of feel like it does actually fit in a way, because you know, the podcast has been about, well, if you see a ghost of someone who's still alive, it could potentially be an omen that their time is up and you will never see them again. Yeah, I personally think, for me, the meaning of life is to make meaningful relationships with people. I think you just get so much more out of life and people rather than things and material. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
As I'm
Yeah,
surrounded by loads of shit in the background. But yeah, yeah. What do you guys think? If it's easy to answer, which is not.
I'll let you go first, Scott.
Uh, I was going to say the same. I think, yeah. To be honest, I think that's probably a very solid answer
Yeah,
because I think there's not a lot of purpose in a lot of other things. You know, like jobs and employment are good. You know, I
yeah,
like having money to be able to do
yeah.
things.
They're necessary, aren't they?
They're necessary. They're not. You know, it doesn't necessarily make me happy working every day. It's
Yeah,
something like, you know, I don't dislike it,
yeah,
but you know, spending time with other people, I think just hanging out, talking to other people, being around other people kind of is very different. It's kind of one of the few things in life you sort of never get bored of.
yeah, yeah.
And I think, yeah,
Absolutely.
I think, like I say, I think making connections and that sort of thing and just interacting with others is probably the best answer
Yeah,
I can also give.
Lozzie is
Look, right. I don't actually think there is a meaning in life.
nice.
No, not to say that people's lives
No,
are worthless. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying,
yeah,
I don't think there is a definitive meaning of life.
yeah,
And there's a motivation behind life. Like if you take it down to like the grass, like literally the grassroots level to survive. That's
yeah.
literally like the only thing that's really popping into my head. But
Kill the opposition,
that's it.
eat the opposition.
We we are well maybe on
Primal
our own.
beast.
We are maybe on our own. In
He's now
this,
denouncing aliens.
not denouncing aliens, but you know what
He's
I mean?
like, the Earth is flat.
Beyond the ice wall is different.
Yeah,
All right,
and the meaning of life is the firmament.
that's
Okay,
it.
sure.
What you want to get right is you want to look at a cruise ship or something on the horizon. And you'll see it all come true. Get in a plane, you'll see the ice wall.
Get in a rocket and shoot up to the sky. Have a look at it.
Uh,
From a
Hope,
flatbed truck,
hope your parachute opens on the way back
just
down.
be careful because you come down fucking quick
you do.
and
That's
hard.
But yeah, just to break it
And
down,
whether the Earth is flat or round is fucking solid.
it's hard. Yeah, either way, it's hard. But yeah, I don't think there's a meaning to life really. That's what you make of it. And
Yeah,
like I say that the world, I feel like the universe would be largely the same if we didn't even exist. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. To be fair, I think I kind of went down the line of what I think the key to happiness, and maybe more where you can derive more meaning from life
yeah,
than the meaning of life.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
I think
took
I
it
looked at it
literally,
from
you took it figuratively.
Yeah,
what is the meaning of my life, I
yeah,
think,
yeah,
more
yeah,
than life as a whole.
yeah, yeah. No, I did the same. But yeah, actual meaning
Hell of
of
a question
life,
there.
I think it's just an amoeba that fucking split and split and split, and here we are.
That's it.
But yeah, no, wonderful question. Even though it was literally, what's the meaning of life? Joking, unless you want an answer. Unless you want to answer. Yeah, fuck it, we'll answer it.
We
But
did.
yeah, thank you so much, Christy. Thank you guys for joining me on the pod. And yeah, have you guys experienced at home any of this stuff? Let us know. Email us in. We are the agony aunts of the paranormal world. Drip drop, motherfucker. We're out.
Drip out, bitches.